Perfect. Welcome. We're going to have Jack's bar mitzvah here in a moment. And I have Cantor Frank here with me and Harvey Horowitz. And we're going to be helping guide Jack. Mazel tov to him and his family. I think we're going to begin with a song of welcome, Hine Mato, which is from the Psalms.
Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim kam yachad. Sing with me or sway. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim kam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim kam yachad.
So Jack's getting set up with his microphone as he is. Let me just explain what we're doing here. So there's prayer books you have over there. We're using Mishkan Tafila.
That's in 2 days, Rabbi.
Yeah, we have different prayer books in a couple days. Mishkan Tafila. This is, for those of you joining us virtually, it is available in the CCAR, but I think you can just follow along with Jack. This time, which is a beautiful time, is a time of transition as we move from the Sabbath, Shabbat, into the rest of the week. And what we're going to see is that feeling, that mood as we move into this all-important week, which is the Jewish New Year, starts on Monday night. Jack is going to lead us with the prayers of what's called the Mincha, the afternoon service. And then we're going to move into Havdala, which is the service that we use to separate between that feeling of weekend, of Shabbat, and the regular week. And it's a little tiny sweet service that we do. Okay, so we are ready to bring up Elliot and Nina to present Jack with his talit, his special prayer shawl, like the one I'm wearing. And the blessing is on page 289 if you want to follow along in the book. Amen. Blessed are you, God, King of the universe, who sanctifies us with your commandments and commands us to wear the fringe garment. And now, because this is his first time, he's going to say the blessing for new things, the Shekiah.
Baruch atah Adonai Elohim melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyimanu v'higianu la'azman hazeh.
Amen. Jack, I want you to feel the talit on top of you. This is what is presented to a Jewish adult from this moment forward. You are a Jewish adult in the community, and every time you wear this prayer shawl, you'll be reminded that you count as part of the Jewish community. So I'll ask Nina and Elliot if you want to come back over here, and we are going to move to what's called the Tafila, which is our prayer where we address God directly. I invite you to rise if you're able, page 344 in the prayer book.
Sarah, Elohei Rika, Elohei Rehel, Elohei Reah, El Havdala, Hagibor V'Anara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ekonei Hakol, Sedocher stay up with my heart. When I be gone, leave nabs in a hand. And I shall bahava. Melech ozer, Moshiach Umagen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Nechai hakol atah rak le'hoshia. Morid hatah, Nechai kel hayim be'chesed. Nechai hakol be'rachamim. So no flame, verify holy. Umakir Ashlim, Umakayim, and Nacho, we shall become all the world. Lumina Mela, Mela Mela, Matzia Yeshua, Eman Atah, Lecha Hayod Hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Nechai hakol.
We're going to continue quietly with our private prayers, and we'll resume on page 360, and you can be seated whenever you're ready. Prayer for peace on page 360.
Oseh shalom b'numav, Uyaseh shalom aleinu, Ve'yakol Yisrael, V'imru amen.
Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ya'akol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ya'akol Yisrael. At this point of the service, we are moving into the Torah Service, which can be found on page 366, and we are going to... We're going to symbolically pass the Torah down. So Jack, why don't you come down over here? We're going to give him the Torah, which is the scrolls of Moses that has been handed down from us to us all the way from Mount Sinai and through Jack's family. And Nina, I'm going to ask you to come and get the Torah. And we're going to have the family kind of line up over here. And Cantor is going to sing Ledor Vador. So come closer over here. And Nina will bring the Torah kind of down symbolically to you. Ledor Vador, from generation to generation.
Ledor Vador.
Ledor Vador.
Ledor Vador.
Ledor Vador.
Ledor Vador Nakir Kod Lecha. Ledor Vador. Ledor Vador. Ledor Vador Nakir Kod Lecha. Ki Melech Gadol v'Gadol v'Kadosh 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 Atah. Ledor Vador. Ledor Vador. Ledor Vador Nakir Kod Lecha. Ledor Vador. Ledor Vador. Ledor Vador Nakir Kod Lecha.
So So Jack is going to lead us responsibly in the prayers on 366. If you're able to rise for this, please rise. Feel the weight of the Torah in your arms here.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Babu Adonai Iti, Unemu Mema, Shemo Yachdav.
Amen. Okay, so we're gonna bring the Torah up here, and we have a Torah undresser that's gonna take off the Torah garment here. And let's see, we have Helene is gonna come up here. So why don't we put this down? And Helene, why don't you come over here carefully? Do me a favor, Jack, lift that up. You may be seated now. So push down on it. Push down. Push down. They do say dogs are wonderful at leading prayers. And then, you want to just open it up? I'll fix this. Jack's going to be reading from nearing the end of the Torah. We're in Parshat Vayelech, which is next week's Torah portion, which is what we read in the Mincha service. That's from Deuteronomy 31:1. We have here Harvey Horowitz, who was Jack's teacher and will be serving as the Gabbai. That's kind of the spotter for the Torah to make sure if Jack has any needs here. We are going to have some of the family members come up for Aliyot, blessings for the Torah. First, we're going to have Jack's brother Samuel Lucan Johnson, who had his bar mitzvah a couple of years ago. So come on up. Yamod Shmuel. So Jack, why don't you take off the cover there and make sure you have the right place. Set? All right.
Baruch Adonai Hamborah. Baruch Adonai Hamborah Elam Ba'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim. V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Amen.
Sam, why don't you hold the Torah?
Amen. Vayelech Moshe vayedaber et hadevarim ha'eleh el kol Yisrael. Vayomer alehem ben me'ah ve'esrim shana Anochi hayom v'uchol v'tzeit v'avo Adonai amar Elai lo ta'avor et hayarden hazeh Adonai Elohecha, Uber Lefanecha, Ushmid et Hagoyim Ha'ela, Milefanecha, Yushtam, Yehoshua, Uber Lefanecha, Kasher Diber Adonai.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher natan lanu Torat Emet V'chayei Olam Nata B'Tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. For the second Aliyah, the second set of blessings, we bring up Nina and Elliot. Itka ve'Eliyahu, Aliyah hasheni.
Asher b'charbanu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Amen. Ve'asa Adonai lahem ka'asher asa l'sihon ule'ol malchei ha'amoris u'etzam asher hishmid otam. Unataram Adonai, Lifnehem, Yehoshu, La'asitem, Lahem, Be'chol HaMitzvah, Asher Tziviti Etem, Hizku V'imsu, Altru V'altarsu, Lifnehem, He, Adonai Elohecha, Hu, He, Ahoeh, Yema, Lo Yakecha, V'lo Ya'azecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'dokenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. We're going to invite everyone to rise. We have a special way of calling Jack up for his first time of coming before and actually saying the blessings before the Torah. And what you're going to need to do is take your fist out like this, and we're going to say Chazak. Chazak. That means strength. So on Harvey Horowitz's cue, or my cue, he's going to call him up by his Hebrew name, Yaakov ben Eliyahu ve'itka.
Yamod, 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 Habachor Habar Mitzvah, Yaakov ben Eliyahu ve'itka, La'aliyah ha'shalishit.
Chazak.
Baruch et Adonai Hamporah.
Baruch
Baruch Adonai Hamporah Olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'charbanu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Vayikra Moshe liYehoshua, Vayomer elav le'enei ho Yisrael, Hazak ve'emat ki atah tavo et ha'am hazeh el haaretz asher nishbah Adonai ha'avotam v'tit lahem v'atah tachtoena otam. Adonai, hu ha'cholech lefanecha, hu yihyeh imah, lo yarpecha, v'lo ya'azvecha, lo tira, v'lo techat. Vaytel Moshe et ha'torah hazot, vayitena el ha'kohanim, b'nei Levi, Hanos im et Aaron beit Adonai v'chol zivnei Yisrael. Vayitzav Moshe otam lemor v'miketz sheva shanim b'moed shanat hashmita v'hal hasukot.
So why don't you do the blessing after the Torah?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher Natan Manu Torah Temet V'hei Olam Natan B'Dokeinu Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. We're going to put the cover over here on it. And I'm going to invite everyone to sit down just momentarily. And we have a very special ritual here. And we're going to need Benjamin, Samuel, Hannah, and Sarah to pass out some candy here. And I'm going to have Jack come over here to the front. We're going to softly toss it. This is a way of celebrating what Jack just accomplished by reading the Torah, and Cantor will sing Siman Tov Mazel Tov. So once all the candy's out, then we'll give you the cue. But do not pelt us over
Bring
here.
the bowl.
Jack, you getting nervous there?
Yeah.
Charlie, do not use your friend.
The only warning I'll give is to Benjamin, you will be having your bar mitzvah in a couple of years.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Be very careful. I think the back row is especially getting excited.
I can't get him. Yeah.
Okay, raise your hand if you still need some candy. Did everyone get? Jay is asking for some more there. Okay, are we ready?
Eating it.
Are we ready? All right, on Cantor's cue.
Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov.
That means yes, we can do.
Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov. Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov. Yeah.
Why don't we have Jack's friends come up and help clean up here? And afterwards, Jared, that's enough. Just get all the candy up so it's a whole bucket to go.
I like throwing them better though.
Years from now, they're gonna find them in the greenery.
Okay.
Take those. I don't eat all these.
All right, once you got all the candy up, why don't you go sit down, and we're gonna have Hannah Gavelneck come over and read a translation of what Jack just read.
Hi. So this is a commentary on Jack's Torah portion by Elaine Rose Glickman. It was the moment for which Moses had prepared nearly all his life. Reared in Egyptian luxury, mothered by a princess, Moses might have lived out his 120 years in careless splendor, unconcerned with the fate of hordes of Israelite slaves who labored outside of his palace. Yet, from the moment that Moses slays the Egyptian taskmaster, he chooses to cast his lot with the slaves. Moses spends 40 years traversing the wilderness, leading a complaining and defiant people, interceding with inscrutable and demanding sovereign, and somehow transforming the despised and oppressed into witnesses of miracles and keepers of revelation. The work is almost finished. God and Moses have brought the people to the edge of the promised land, a place Moses will not reach. Why will Moses forego the glorious completion of the task into which he has poured his very life? In Parsha Vayelech, Moses himself explains, I am now 120 years old, and I can no longer be active. He will remain on the side of the Jordan River, take a peek at the Promised Land, and then die a peaceful death. Except, of course, that he has not made such a choice. As the verse continues, Moses adds what might seem to be a secondary explanation, but an afterthought, yet it contains some crucial information. Quote, "Moreover, God has said to me, you shall not go across yonder Jordan." End quote. Moses' fate is painful, even tragic. Standing before the people he has so steadfastly led, he prepares not to shepherd them into the Promised Land, but to install a new leader who will bring them to their destiny. It is, for Moses, a moment of enormous loss. He may speak as if he has a choice, as if he could lead the Israelites into the land if only he were a little younger or a little stronger, but truly there was no choice at all. He may act as if he has really decided to stay behind, but it's clear that the choice was made for him. Today, we like to make our own choices. We live in a time when almost every institution, every career, every level of leadership beckons us. We swell with pride and optimism as we see women serving in the highest echelons of government, in our universities and in our armed forces as respected doctors, artists, scientists, teachers, and philanthropists. We prepare ourselves and our daughters for lives in which every possibility is open to us. We can choose the life we want to live in, except when we cannot. Except for a 10-year-old girl who falls prey to society's unspoken messages to young women such as, "You're not pretty enough, you're not popular enough, or you're not thin enough." She might tell you that she has chosen to watch her weight and eat very little, but in many ways, society has already made that choice for her. We find men and women all around us submitting to these pressures and expectations, that they undercut our right to choose a life in which we want to live. And yet, the pressures and the expectations that we encounter are not God's will, whereas Moses' ability to choose his destiny ended when God made known the heavenly decree. But our choices should not and must not be bound by earthly decrees. Acknowledging the injustice of the choices that many men and women often face is surely the first step to changing the pattern.
Amen.
Beautiful words. Thank you.
All right, we're going to lift our Torah. I'm going to invite up Ira Edelman and Stephen Gavelnick to lift and dress our Torah. And as they do, we're going to invite everyone to rise. You may be seated now. And let's get the belt. Here, we need the belt.
Jack, you're doing great.
And Jack is going to sing "It's a Tree of Life."
It is a tree of life for those
Happy, it is the tree of life, and those who will pass to it and all that its supporters are happy. Ba-da-da-da. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. It is the tree of life for those who will pass to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is the tree of life for those who will pass to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Ba-da-da-da. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Shalom.
And we have some words of wisdom now from Jack about his Torah portion and about this experience.
My Torah portion is called Vayelech. It is from the book of Deuteronomy, and in my portion, Moses hands down the leadership of the Israelites to Joshua, nearing the end of his life. Moses also gives up on seeing the promised land, which he worked very hard to get to. The word Vayelech means, and then he went out. And this seems fitting to what's happening to
Jack,
Moses.
hold on one second. Why don't we come all the way up here in front of everyone. I think your microphone started to die down a little bit, so just come as close as you can and nice and slow. From the beginning.
My Torah portion is Vayelech. It is from the book Deuteronomy. In my portion, Moses hands down the leadership of the Israelites to Joshua nearing the end of his life. Moses also gives up on seeing the promised land, which he worked very hard to get to. The word Vayelech means, and then he went out. And I think this seems fitting to what is happening to Moses. I think this symbolizes people coming to terms with their own death by making sure they are not forgotten. This can come in a lot of forms, such as culture, stories, memories, and more. For example, my full name is Jack Lucan Johnson. I have a great-grandfather named Jack Johnston, born in 1918, and a grandfather named Jack Lucan, born in 1930. I'm carrying on their formal names, but as I become an adult, I'm making a name for myself. This is an important process so that no one is required to fill someone's shoes. I also have DNA passed down from thousands of ancestors. I enjoy taking part in Jewish traditions like performing Tashlit, also known as casting out our sins, on Rosh Hashanah, and even having daily famous traditions like sharing highlights and lowlights at dinner each night. Then there are also physical items passing down through generations like this Havdala set that was given to my stepfather in celebration of him becoming a bar mitzvah, and is now being used by me 40 years later. This is a good opportunity to think about what you might want to leave behind for the next generation. Jewish values like tzedakah, righteous behavior and charity, and tikkun olam, repairing the world, have been passed down to me throughout my lifetime. My bar mitzvah project is helping the SPCA by donating money, food, and items. I chose this project because for my whole life I have loved animals. Whether it is a mouse, a dog, a cat, animals just always seem very cool to me. I have 2 dogs, 3 cats, a rabbit, and a fish. Sadly, my wonderful mice didn't make it to see me become a bar mitzvah. During quarantine, we did what many families did and dreamed of getting a dog. We got so lucky when my mom went to the SPCA to just look, and then got Izzy, who was around here. Izzy dog brings a lot of happiness to our family. And I would like to take this time as an opportunity to thank everyone who has helped me along this journey. I would like to thank Mr. Horowitz for teaching me my bar mitzvah portion, Kenter Frank for teaching me the prayers. Another thanks goes out to my parents for encouraging me to practice Hebrew and always being there as an audience to listen. Next, I would like to thank everyone who has traveled a long way to get here, and it really means a lot that you would do this. Lastly, I would like to thank Siri, my bar mitzvah planner, for making all this possible.
It really is. Her name is really Siri.
Yes.
And Rabbi Alex to come here and officiate my bar mitzvah and for helping me out with the speech. That's it.
Wonderful. Stay where you are, Jack. We're going to invite up Nina and Elliot to give you some words. Or just Nina? Just Nina, I guess.
Jack, may God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. May God bless you and keep you. May God shine his face on you and be gracious to you. May God turn his face toward you and grant you peace. Why Ephraim and Manasseh? It seems strange that the blessing for boys singles out Ephraim and Manasseh instead of patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, or Joseph, Moses, King David, King Solomon. One view is that Ephraim and Manasseh are the first pair of brothers in the Bible who do not see each other as competitors. They do not struggle for power, and their dynamic as a family never seems to be the source of great difficulty in their lives. By blessing our children to be like Ephraim and Manasseh, we seek to bestow upon our children the legacy of peace and harmony between brothers. Yeah, right. Another interpretation by 19th century Israeli Rabbi Shmuel Mourner notes that Ephraim and Manasseh grew up in Egypt, unlike the patriarchs who all grew up in Israel. Ephraim and Manasseh maintained their distinct identity as Israelites, even though they live in a place where they were surrounded and outnumbered by the Egyptians and their gods. The ability to remain faithful to Judaism, even when it is a struggle, is a legacy that we and I want to pass on to our children. Jack, as a child, your job was to grow, learn, and have fun. My job was to love, nurture, and protect you. And today, our jobs are changing. You have become a bar mitzvah, and as you turn 13 years old, you can officially be called to the Torah for an aliyah, be counted in a minyan, and fully participate in Jewish life and rituals. Your job now is to take responsibility, make the most of your life, incorporate Judaism into your world in your own way. Not by me dragging you to endless federation or synagogue events. But that said, I hope I've shown you the many ways you can be Jewish and do Jewishly. I, as you know, deeply believe in tikkun olam and repairing the world and making it a better place for all people. Lo tamod al dam reach. Do not stand idly by and make your voice heard on issues that are important to you, to the Jewish community and the communities in which Jews live. And caring for the other, the immigrants and the strangers, because we were strangers in a strange land. All that said, our job now is to support you in your endeavors, except for the one about getting a corgi. You're an old soul with a quiet, calm tranquility, Jack. Continue to embrace the world even with its contradictions. Continue to be kind, gentle, and pensive. In challenging yourself, expect to trip and fall. Let your Jewishness be an anchor and an arbiter of balance. May you continue the commitment you have made to repair the brokenness in the world in search of peace and wholeness. We are so, so proud of you and your focused dedication to prepare for this day. I love you. Mazel tov.
All right, Jack, we're almost there. Let's all give Jack's, I want you to think about something you want to offer a blessing. So I'm going to start a blessing and throw out the things that you want Jack to really hear on this day about what's special about him, about how you see his future. Misha Be'era Kavatina Abraham Yitzchak Yaakov Yimatir Sarah Karachel Leah. May the Holy One have blessed your ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. Bless Jack with
Joy.
Health.
Happiness.
Keep it coming.
Lots of dogs.
Lots of love from brothers and sisters.
Good food.
Good moods.
Food.
Yes.
A lot of baking.
A lot of chocolate, yeah, peanut
Lots
butter.
of tuna melt.
Energy. faking playing the trumpet.
Okay, wonderful. I hope you soaked all that in. Now we're going to have you sign your bar mitzvah certificate. So come on up here. This is a reminder of the day here. And actually, we need Cantor to sign too. I didn't have a chance to get her signature. So sign over. You're signing over your life away to the Jewish community. So thank you. Yeah, on the bar. This is a wonderful reminder. It's a gift from the synagogue to you as a way to frame everything that you've done today. And my signature, and now Cantor's signature will be honored as well. We also have a present from the community, which is from the Reform Movement. It's $250 towards a trip to Israel, but you can go to Israel for free with Birthright when you turn 18 years old. And we have a Kaddish cup here. That's from our men's group and women of Shir Shalom. That is a cup to be used in all your joyous occasions. And we also gave you a yad, which was the pointer I believe that you used when you were reading Torah. That is from our religious school, picked out by Joanne Marcusy for you. Jack, what a wonderful, it's just been amazing to watch you grow into this world and to become a contributing member. You have a quiet soul, but I can feel the passion in it, and I know you're destined for great things in the future. Cantor and I will offer you part of the blessing that you received from your mom, which is the priestly blessing, one of our oldest and most beloved. Why don't we all rise for that? May God bless you and watch over you. May God shine God's light upon you and grant you comfort. May God lift God's face to you and to all of us and grant you peace. And we say, Amen. Amen. We're going to remain standing as we have, we're going to go to Aleinu on page 586. I'm going to invite up Marla Wiener. Wiener, okay, sorry, you could go either way, to lead us in the prayer. Page 591. Be seated. We're going to turn to the Mourner's Kaddish, which is on page 598. And Jack is remembering his grandparents, Sheena and Yaakov. If there's other names that people have that they're remembering today, please feel free to say. And we'll turn to those whose custom it is to rise. Yitgadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'yalma, Divrach, Urtei, V'yamlik, Malkutei, V'chayachon, V'yamachon, V'chayed, V'chol Beit Yisrael, V'agala, V'yizman, Kariv, V'yimru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah, V'varach, Le'olam, Olmei Amaya, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitalev, V'yitalal, Shemei Dekudashah, V'richu. Leila min kol birkata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, tamiran v'yalma v'yimramin, yehei shlam rabbamin shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. O seh shalom v'yimramav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the one who creates harmony and high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world, and we say, Amen. We have one final thing to do today, which is Havdala. And we're going to call up Sarah and Ben and Sam to hold and light our candles. This is the special ceremony with our favorite, like a bonfire with the candle, with the wine, our favorite drink, and our favorite smells with the cinnamon. So if you guys want to come over here, and this is the special set given by your grandparents. And I think we need a little wine.
There's wine in it.
There is. Oh, it is. All right, so let's light the candle. Do we have a lighter?
Yeah.
And if you want to follow along, it is it's on page 612. Jack's going to lead us in the we smell the spices. We hold our hands out to the candle. Okay, so we're gonna dip the candle inside the wine. Can we do that? And we listen for the sizzle there. Almost. Yeah, Jack has a few more prayers welcoming in the week here. And we have one final prayer for Jack, which is hamotzi. Now do we have any bread? Some French fries? I heard those are his favorite. I think Jack and his family have been making different challahs during the year. Right, that's been some of your COVID traditions, I think. All right, Jack, you ready to go back to the beginning? We'll start all over. Now tell me, when you have a name like Siri, you must have been so annoyed when they picked that as the name of the. Here we go. Hold up here.
Don't ask for directions though.
So before we get to all the food, we have Jack. Why don't you come sit down over here with your friends? And I think that some of your family members are going to address you.
Should we go behind or
No, right.
I think in the front.
All right. So, as Jack mentioned in his speech, every night before we sit down to dinner, Jack exclaims, "Highlight, lowlight," which is a saying in our family that prompts us to go around the table and say the best and worst parts of our day. So here are some of our favorite highlights about Jack. So one of my first memories of Jack is when he got stuck in a baby swing during our first family road trip 4 years ago in New York City. I also have